Welcome to Stevie's Kitchen. Tonight, I have a high protein, healthy meal that you're gonna love. This is something that I really enjoyed making and kind of came up with this recipe whenever I was in New York with the Giants. It is a Cajun chicken quinoa bake. So we're gonna get this quinoa going. So I'm just gonna tell you everything that's gonna go on this now. So it's with this being a Cajun quinoa bake, I have half an onion, I have 3 cloves of garlic, I got about a cup of mushrooms. We're gonna do 1.5 cups of quinoa, 3 cups of water. So we're just gonna let all this kind of saute together, put the lid on top for 20 minutes, and that's how we're gonna get this quinoa going. So right now I got 2 tablespoons of butter that I've already melted in here. I'm gonna add in my onions and garlic. And you know, this is, like I said, this is a recipe that I came up with and started playing around with a little bit whenever I first got into the league. And it was something that I wanted to do because I wanted to, you know, when you're in the league, you need to stay healthy, you need to stay in shape and everything like that. And it's also during this time of year, you know, the draft just finished. Kind of funny, I think back to my draft story. You know, all these people who got to go on day 1, day 2, I am definitely proud of all of them. But me, myself, I'm a day 3 guy. Actually, 251 out of 254 picks. Let's just say draft day experience for me was very nerve-wracking, but at the same time, it was very rewarding. Hold that thought real quick. I got a new pepper mill. So just gonna add a little bit of salt and pepper into this as well. But back to my draft story. I just remember I was at home at my dad's house back in Indianapolis, originally from Columbus. For everybody comes at me from being at home in Columbus. I am from Columbus, Indiana, but when I got drafted, my dad was living in Indianapolis at the time. So I was at his house, and like I said, I was 251 out of 254. And I just remember sitting there, you know, my phone goes off. I look down. It was actually funny. One time, it was my college coach calling me, Coach Robinson. Like, hey Stevie, I've been talking to a few teams. I'm on the phone. Like, yeah, okay, coach, get the hell off my phone. Like, I love you and I appreciate you calling, but I got to leave this thing open. And then as we get late into the 7th round, I kind of make it outside, and you know, like I said, that anxiety starts kicking in, and I'm over here just like. You know, being a captain at Michigan, everything like that, you know, you go from one end of the spectrum where you're up here and now it's draft day and not even know if you're about to get drafted. And I'm outside and like, damn. I look down and it's a 314 number calling me. It's the DB coach with the Rams. And he's like, Stevie, I'm on the table. He's like, I'm on the table for you. You need to come here. He's like, how would it feel to be a St. Louis Ram? Shit, coach, this is the greatest thing ever. I would love to be a St. Louis Ram. And then like, as he's calling me, I got a 501 number calling my phone, but I'm talking to the St. Louis Rams coach. I can't just get off the phone with him. So I'm just like, yeah, coach, yeah, I can't wait. I want to be there. I want to be there. I want to be there. And then in that next few minutes, I look up and I see all my family starting to run out onto the porch. And they're all trying to run towards me. And I was just like, hold on. And then the 510 number calls back. So then I pick it up and I'm like, hello? And then it's like, hey, Stevie, this is Coach Cable with the Oakland Raiders. Welcome to Oakland. And then as soon as he says that, like my family just jumps on me, like that instant relief of, oh, I got drafted, mixed with the joys of, this is what I've been wanting to do since I was 7 years old. It's like just a wild time of emotions all going on. And it was a surreal, one of the greatest experiences of my life. And, you know, I'll always remember it. But I say all that to say, with the draft just now ending, there are now a bunch of 21-year-olds trying to come take your job. So this is one of these meals that I came up with that I would eat during this time because the draft just happened, mini camps are showing up, you got to get ready. And being in shape and making sure you meet your weight is something that you have to do as part of the process. You know, people don't realize for every pound that you are over or under in the NFL, that's a $500 fine. And eating a nice meal like this for me made sure I didn't get $500 less out of my pocket. So this is one of the beauties of this meal. Now that we got this little saute going, I'm gonna add in my 3 cups of water. We're gonna bring this up to a boil, and then we'll drop in our quinoa. Now that we got this to a boil, I have my 1.5 cups of quinoa that I rinsed off. So that's why it's looking like this. So I'm just gonna dump it in. Gonna get a nice little stir on it. Turn this down to a low heat. I'm gonna lid it up and let it sit like this for about 20 minutes. So now we're gonna get working on the Cajun chicken portion of this. I have 2 pounds of chicken that I've already boiled and shredded. Just looks like this, that we're gonna go in and we're gonna add our seasonings to. You know, it's funny thinking about after being drafted and then going out to first mini camp. And like I said, after you get drafted, it's mini camp time. And I'll always remember my first mini camp because I just remember being drafted. We go out to being out in Oakland. I'd only been to California maybe, well, I went 2 times. Once I went because I played in the Rose Bowl. That was my first time in Cali. And then the second time I went was during my pre-draft process, and Oakland actually flew me out, so I got to meet with all the coaches then. So those are my only 2 times to California. So I'm far away, I don't know anybody. And then, you know, my first mini camp, we didn't actually do the just teen or rookie only mini camp. We did a mini camp that had everybody there. And I'll always remember it because my graduation was going on at the exact same time that I had to be at mini camp. And my whole family goes to graduation, even though I'm not there, but they all go because that year the commencement speaker at Michigan was President Obama. So I got all my friends calling me back home that were there, my family's calling me back home, being like, oh man, such a great graduation, and I'm in Oakland playing football. I wouldn't trade it, but it's definitely something that I remember. But that first training camp, we go out there, there's this drill called Crossfire, where we're just getting warmed up. And, I shouldn't say Crossfire, pat and go. Quarterbacks are just getting their arms loosened up. They're just patting the ball. We run little fade routes. They're just kind of throwing it. We're just going out there catching. We're getting our legs loose. The quarterbacks are getting their arms loose. And then after about 3-4 rounds with everybody going on, then we do the crossfire. And so, you know, I'm in the back of the line, just sitting here chilling. And all the vets are looking at me like, hey, young boys, get up to the front. Rooks, get up to the front. Rooks, get up to the front. All right, you know. I'm rookie, so I get up to the front, and we're doing the little pat and go, and Jamarcus Russell is sitting right there. And he passed the ball, so I'm running at him. Boom! I don't know if y'all know this about Jamarcus Russell. Everybody knows him as the biggest bust in NFL history. That man had a cannon for an arm. So as I'm trying to run towards him, and he just launches the ball out like this, so I catch it. Arms going back this way. I just have to look at him real quick. I was like, hey man, ain't no need for all that. I'm trying to break my hands during warm-ups. I was like, I ain't got time for this. It was the only time I had to do pat and go with him, or crossfire drill with him. Raiders actually let him go like 2 days later. Another story. But minicamp was fun. You know, it's like bonding with all your teammates. It's the first time being out there in Oakland, just kind of taking in the NFL process. And, one thing I can also say, Al Davis was still alive at that time. And is as old as he was, because he ended up dying the very next year, he was still sharp as could be. And it was the craziest thing. I remember walking off the field one time, and me and the rookies, we had to carry all the helmets. And a buddy of mine, Walter McFadden out of Auburn, we're carrying the helmets back in for all the vets. And Al pulls up on his golf cart, and y'all are me, and Walt, he's like this. 22, 27. Stevie Brown from Columbus, Indiana, went to the University of Michigan, safety, 7th round pick. How you doing? I was like, all right. Walter McFadden, Pompano Beach, Florida, University of Auburn, cornerback, 5th round. How you doing? Hey, Mr. Davis. Like, damn. I was like, for someone who did not look healthy at all, still sharp as a tack. One of the things that still to this day impresses me about when I met him. It was a good time. Oakland was just a good time. I can't say that about the Oakland experience. It was a very young team at that time. So we were all around the same age. Everybody hung out. Everybody had fun. Probably too much fun at times, but you know what? We were young, and that's what you're supposed to do. Enjoy life. Nothing too crazy that we almost went to jail. I don't have any stories like that, but we may have just been out too late a few nights. May have drove a little too fast a little bit on the highway. Them boys had some nice cars. I ain't have no nice car. I ain't have no money like that. Like I said, I was a 7th round pick. But I played with some people. I won't say any names. They had some nice cars. Jaguars and Porsches and souped up. And I've always kind of been the DD. So I just got to drive the nice cars. As y'all can tell, I've been just kind of working this chicken. This chicken's already cooked, so you don't have to do too much to it. I just kind of seasoned up a little bit, smoked paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, salt, pepper, and some Cajun seasoning, just to get that little kick on it. Then we'll add a little bit more, but we're gonna incorporate this with our quinoa. This is what makes this such a high protein meal. You're getting your protein from the quinoa, and you're getting your protein from the chicken. Once your quinoa gets done, now it's time to add the finishing touches. We're gonna do 14 ounces of crushed tomatoes. Let's get a good mix on this. Just gonna get this all in here. And then basically we want to layer our flavor. So everything that we put on the chicken, we're just gonna add a little bit to this quinoa mixture as well. So another one of the benefits that I learned about cooking for myself is you don't always have to go out and you get to save money. One of the most expensive dinners that I've ever had to pay for was rookie dinner. I remember the internet went crazy whenever they found out what Dez Bryant's amount was. I can't fully remember, but I think he was like around like 20 grand or something like that. But for me, I kind of got lucky a little bit. I'll say it like this. So rookie year, Oakland, we go to Ruth Chris. Yeah, we went to Ruth Chris. So we took the whole team. So all 9 players that got drafted, and then we slotted it based on where you were drafted. And I think like our bill total at the end for, between, there's 53 men on an active roster. I'm not gonna sit here and say all 53 came, but so it probably was about, I'll just say 40 of us, plus a few of the practice squad guys, things like that. So end of the day, it was probably about 40, 45 people that ended up having dinner at Chris by the time they order all their drinks, extra bottles take home, everything like that. We were probably around, I'm just going to throw out a figure. Don't quote me on this. Maybe about 50 grand or so. And then at this time, it was probably about week 8 or 9 in the season. So everybody's, pretty not set in how the play amount rolls, but good amount. You know how everybody plays. And I just remember Namdi coming up to me and he's like, all right, Brownie. It's time to open up that checkbook. He's like, you was what, our 4th round pick? Because, don't get me wrong, for a 7th round pick, I was playing a decent amount. I started in all 4 special teams. I was in our sub packages, nickel and dime, like I was on the field a decent amount. And Namdi's thinking I'm a 4th round pick. He's like, yeah. He's like, we're going to get you. Finally had to look at Namdi. I said, as Lee Corso would say, not so fast, my friend. I was a 7th round pick, the last of the class, mind you. And we slotted it. So Rolando had the biggest payment. I think at the end of the day, like I still had to pay about $1,500, $2,000 or so, but it's a lot less than everybody else. Probably one of the most expensive dinners I've ever had to pay for in my life. But it was such a good time. I'm not even gonna lie. Rookie dinner, it is, as a rookie, it's not what you want to see because especially, nowadays it's changed with the NIL. But for me coming out, to not have any money, to then turn around having to pay $2,000 for a dinner, whew, that's not a bill you want to see. But as I got older and then I started being on the other end of it, you understand. It is a great tradition. It is a lot of fun. And I'm just thankful I was a 7th round pick, not one of these first rounders who handle out $10,000, $15,000 for dinner. I will say that. Probably wouldn't call it a great experience if I was one of them. As you can see, we got everything in this dish all mixed together. We got our chicken, we got our mushrooms, we got our quinoa, we got our tomato sauce. I got 2 diced tomatoes that is kind of chunked that we're just gonna add in here for a little, I'm gonna say freshness, but it's still gonna get baked. So, but I just like that pop and that acidity that these tomatoes bring. All right, so this is a very simple process. I got a 9x13 casserole dish. So I'm gonna just scoop out half of this mixture right now. Spread it out thin. Or I shouldn't say thin, evenly. Spread this out nice and even. And then I got some low-fat mozzarella cheese. And I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit on this part. Not a ton, just enough to kind of make sure the cheese is all the way through. Then we're gonna take the rest of our mixture and layer it up right over top. This is a no man left behind type of dish. And if you cook it correctly, shouldn't have anything burnt that sticks to the bottom. Get all this done. If y'all really wanted to, you could eat this just like this is, but I'm gonna add mine to the oven and I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit more cheese on it because everything's in here is cooked. But I just want to add a little bit more cheese and let that cheese bake on top. Makes it almost look like a lasagna. But you got chicken and quinoa below. So this is a great lunch, dinner. This could even be a date night recipe if you really wanted to get fancy. or if you wanted to stay healthy. All right. So now we got that all evenly placed out. We're just going to take the rest of our cheese, just put it over the top. It's about a cup of shredded mozzarella cheese that I've put in this whole dish together. For those of y'all who are counting your macros. Fun fact, not something I do. But no shame to those who do. So, looks like this, in the oven for about 10 minutes. We're just wanting this cheese to melt. We're not trying to bake this through, it's already all cooked. So again, we just put this in the oven for about like 10 minutes just to melt that cheese on top. Now it's time to get in and try this. This is our chicken, our Cajun chicken quinoa bake. So I'm making sure I get a little bit of everything. This is not a made for TV bite. I got some chicken, I got some tomato, quinoa, mushroom. The way the steam's rolling off this, I'm just gonna keep talking because it looks a little hot. All right, this is still gonna be so hot. Give me a second. Okay, it wasn't too hot. It was just a really big bite. However, just like I always remember it, chicken's cooked well. Got that little, the cheese kind of holds it all together, so it kind of gives it that lasagna vibe, how I was talking about. The Cajun and spice comes in at the back. This is a really good meal. And yes, that was only one bite, but you know, there's a lot of times you bite something, you're like, oh, this is it's gonna make me feel bad later. You don't get that all with this. Clean ingredients, clean meal, nice and healthy. You're gonna love it. You don't wanna miss this.